In this video, we'll dive into the Sitecore Experience Commerce product, which brings together product information, contextual content, and digital marketing to drive valuable, personalized shopping experiences throughout the customer lifecycle. The Sitecore 9 product series consists of three major products: Sitecore Experience Manager, the Sitecore Experience Platform, and finally, Sitecore Experience Commerce. Each of the Sitecore products contains a number of logical entities, which together with a number of cloud services forms the entire functionality of the Sitecore platform. In two series of videos, we have investigated the Sitecore Experience Manager and the Sitecore Experience Platform products and how they make it possible to manage and deliver personalized content across multiple channels, as well as capturing customer data to create contextual experiences. It's highly recommended to start by watching these videos, as these products form a foundation for many of the capabilities and scenarios in the Sitecore Experience Commerce product. However, in the following videos, we'll focus on the Sitecore Experience Commerce roles and look into the business processes in which they are involved. Sitecore Experience Commerce caters for many business scenarios and requirements. We've chosen to highlight a set of scenarios which covers all the commerce roles and which should give you a good insight into the data flows of the product. These scenarios are browsing the catalog, the checkout process, customer registration and login, and merchandising activities such as catalog and order management. Sitecore Experience Commerce 9 is configured for both single and multi-tenancy out of the box. With a single tenancy setup, you'll have a single website, or storefront as it's called, being served out of the Sitecore Content Delivery instance. This storefront will make calls through the Commerce engine, accessing the entities and business logic configured for it. With a multi-tenancy setup, a Sitecore Content Delivery instance can house multiple storefronts, and your engine can host multiple entity and business logic configurations. In other words, you can have a single Sitecore Content Delivery and Commerce engine hosting numerous sites, each with completely tailored functionality, not only in the user interface, but also in the Commerce engine. There are two storage roles or databases in Sitecore Experience Commerce. The first, the Commerce Global Database, is used to store all the global configuration data that governs how the engine roles function. This means policies and environments. A policy is a group of settings which defines and affects the functionality of the individual features or plugins in the Commerce engine. Policies are named, versionable variable data sets that goes towards making the engine flexible and configurable. They're stored in the global policy store and are heavily cached. Environments are another important concept for Sitecore Experience Commerce and can be thought of as a collection of policies that affect how a call to an engine is handled. In other words, when a storefront calls the Commerce engine for any functionality, it'll identify the appropriate environment, which in turn will affect the functionality provided by the engine. Environments thereby give the ability to have separate functionalities hosted in a single service instance. This means that you can have the same call to the engine function very differently depending on which environment variable is passed in. For example, if you request product details using a shop's environment, it will probably read from a cache to improve performance, whereas using an authoring environment would most likely pull data directly from the database. Typically, policies and environments are changed as part of a deployment and through a process called bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is the process of loading a set of changed configurations into the Commerce system and thereby changing the data models or the functionality. Environments and policies are created and managed in configuration files, specifically JSON files, by developers or system administrators as part of the development and operations or DevOps process. Now, when a developer wants to reconfigure and bootstrap the Sitecore Experience Commerce system, a developer or system administrator will first stop all the engine roles depending on the new configuration, and then deploy the changed JSON configuration file to the DevOps role, and subsequently use a REST API tool such as Postman and trigger the bootstrap REST call on the DevOps role. The bootstrapping can also be executed as part of a continuous deployment through a PowerShell script or similar. The JSON configuration is now read from the files on disk, and the environment and policy data is stored in the global database. If the bootstrapping is successful, the system will now run with a new configuration, and a message is returned to the developer or system administrator. Hereafter, when the engine roles are started again, they will read the new configuration from the global database. The DevOps role can also be used to trigger other maintenance and deployment tasks, such as a rebuild of indexes in the system. Just as with the bootstrapping command, this can happen through a manual REST call or through a script. Reindexing will load data from the shared environments database and repopulate the appropriate index. Speaking of the shared environments database, the second storage role in the Sitecore Experience Commerce is that shared environments database, which is the main data store for the commerce deployment. This will store all the commerce data used on the site, which includes catalog data, customer records, pricing information, any promotions that have been configured, along with the generic entities and lists that power the functionality created in various plugins that are installed.